So for this episode, we're going to install these drop spindles from CPP. As you can see, I'm going through and removing the TBM brake hub and rotor assembly from the stock spindle. So you got to pull the center cap, pull the cotter pin, back off the castle nut, pull out the outer bearing and washer, slide it off, and then I went to work removing the cotter pins on the upper and lower ball joints before removing the steering arm from the spindle. I kept it attached to the tie rod, and then from there moved on to getting the caliper bracket taken off, removed the upper and ball joint castle nuts, and then popped off the factory spindle. Now with the CPP spindle, it is a little bit different. It's got threaded holes rather than through holes. So as I was getting to the point where I reassembled the brake caliper bracket, I ended up having to make a run for some additional hardware. But all in all, it was a good time and it well worth it to be able to get this extra 2 inches of drop. As you see here, the billet bracket for the steering just connects right to it. They included 1/2 inch by 20 thread bolts, so could handle a lot of snugness. Lincoln Hardware was awesome in Venice Beach. They had the hardware I needed for the bottom caliper bracket because it was a tapered Allen head bolt, and I needed it to be shorter, like 1.5 inches compared to the one that came with the kit, which was like 2.5 inches. So, tighten it all up, get it all torqued up. After that, I believe it was 80 foot-pounds of torque was a spec on all of these 1/2 inch bolts, which is pretty normal. Then I could slide the rotor hat and assembly back on, put on the outer bearing, put on the washer, preload the bearing with a just adjustable wrench, back it off a little bit so it spun freely, drop in the cotter pin, and then toss on the center cap.